So guys, this is the subject of today's video. To be honest, I'm surprised I haven't been called out by the regular viewers on this yet. We have. Well, let's start from inside and work our way out. We obviously have a lot of stock, and I probably need to explain myself a little bit. So in here we've got the Saab 900, the Brabus Roadster, the Maserati Ghibli, the S2000 and the Jaguar. We've got the Taxi, the XF Jaguar, the i20 Hyundai, the Micra, the MGB, the Capri, the VW Up, the Acadian van, the MGB Sebring that we're building. Since then, I've been on a shopping spree and picked up more vehicles. Obviously, we have the Citroen C3 that we bought is down at the garage having a service and MOT. The Hyundai i10 we had with the flaking bumpers has been over at Malcolm's and had the paint done, so we've got those two as well. I've just picked up this 62 plate Civic. I want to say 72,000 miles on it. I'm not going to go by in detail around the cars. If anybody wants to see any cars in particular detail and you guys are a bit naffed off that I haven't done my normal sort of more detailed walk around of them, comment down below and I'll make a point of doing it in a future video. But we've got this this Civic, and the nice thing about this is the 1.4 petrol. I know I've been saying recently I'm a bit off the diesels. It's the 1.4 petrol. I think it's 72,000 miles. I forget how many owners it's got, but it's got a full service history. This is in really good condition. Really good condition. Bridgestone tyre there, Bridgestone there, indicating that it's not being run on a budget. Yeah, it looks like Bridgestone's all round. Condition's really good. There's one little bit down here to do on the corner of the bumper, so nothing major there. Other than that, it's pretty retail ready. The interior is super clean. It's not open at the moment, so I can't show you inside. Steering wheel's a little bit there, but the rest of the interior is really clean. Like I said, 6-speed 1.4 should be a good little seller, shouldn't it? Don't know why it's got a tow bar on it. It seems a bit strange for a 1.4. Obviously, it wouldn't have enough weight or power to take caravans or anything like that. So I suspect it's going to be like a clip-ins trailer or something like that, one of those small ones to take to the tip. There's a little bit of a scuff there to do on the back of the bumper, just to tidy that up. Oh, and there is a scuff here, so it needs a little bit of paint on a couple of corners. But other than that, it's a decent car. Nothing outrageous at all. Nothing outrageous. A bit of bubbling on the alloys, but nice car. Obviously, we've got the Skoda Fabia that we got when I let the Porsche 911 go. That's actually, looks like that's selling to a subscriber. They put a deposit down on there. We've got the Corsa we had back from paint a while ago. We've also got the Caddy van we got in recently. We've got the Honda logo we took in part exchange. We haven't done anything with. Chevy I still need to get a gearbox for. Mike's decided he's not having the Volvo V50 now, which I'm happy about, to be honest, because it's a super clean car and all it needs is a new gearbox putting in. And actually that means that I've got no involvement. It just goes down the garage, gets the gearbox put in, comes back again, and then has a valet. So that'll be up for sale with me, and I'm quite pleased about that. It's a nice car. Haven't done anything with the Golf yet. That needs the alloys refurbing. Go down and find out what that thing at 60 mile an hour is. I've got the, oh, this is a new one. The Corsa is a new one. That's a 1.3 diesel. 2013, 98,000 miles. Really good condition on the outside. Really good nick. It's got, I think they've both got new MOTs on. Needs a little bit of paint there on the corner, but other than that, it's in really good condition. I think the Honda had already had an MOT put on. I think this has already had an MOT put on. It drove it back, it drives nice. It's just absolutely disgusting inside, like properly disgusting, to the point where I didn't want to turn the fans on for fear of blowing stuff into my mouth as I drove along. We'll do a video on that. That is going to make Dog Hair Astra. It's going to be on a par with Dog Hair Astra. I think those of you who've been around a while saw that video. Haven't done it in the C1 I got recently. I'm just remembering, I've got to talk to you about some I bought at auction that haven't arrived yet either. That needs to go down and have the clutch release bearing done, because it's definitely that's leaking a little bit on it, but it's internal. Then it needs to go down and have paint. That's all ready to go. MOT put the bits of trim on it. It just needs to be valeted and put up for sale now. Won't be doing anything with these two for a while. That one we've got to do the fluid change on. Had lots of research, lots of tips on it. It come to me and everybody's pointing the same thing. Do a fluid flush. But also people are all saying that even when that's done, it'll come back about 5,000 miles, so it'll have to be sold as a known thing on it. The Carrada's back. I've had a little drive in that. Drives all right, it's not overheating anymore. They replaced those pipes. Drives absolutely fine, apart from that occasional harsh change into third. It doesn't happen when you. It's only really when you're at a low speed on that. It's a little bit like the CRV, isn't it? But we have done a fluid change on that already. So I'm in two minds. You can get the solenoids from it from China, I think it is. You can get a full solenoid pack for it, because I think it's third to fourth gear solenoid that's gummed up. I think that's why it does it. But unfortunately, the solenoids are on the side of the gearbox and it's against the body of the car, so you have to drop the whole box down or out to get to them. But they're only 100 quid to get them in. So I don't know, I might try selling as is for a bit and then do that later, because other than that, it drives bloody lovely, and it's a really nice spec little car. Being auto as well should be popular. Right, so we've got we've got three more in the front row here that you haven't seen before. We've got a Citroen C1 2015. This one needs a little bit of work down here. Let me remind myself, what does it need? Yeah, it needs a little bit of paint down here. We'll probably get Malk onto that one. But only 50-odd thousand miles, I think, on a 2015. Other than that, super clean little car. Should be a cracking little seller for me, I would have thought. Really good condition inside. The car overall was fantastic. Once that bit of paint's done, ready to go. We haven't had one of these for a while, have we? A Suzuki Alto. Suzuki Alto. Now, we did one of these where I replaced the whole rear beam on it, didn't I? Because it was rotten out and failed an MOT. Other than surface rust on the underside of them, these are bulletproof. Touch wood, I don't remember ever having a warranty claim on one of these. They are simple, robust. They're really nice little cars. And I think in this colour it looks fantastic. So this has got the 1 litre, they're 1 litre 3-cylinder, aren't they, on these? Really clean car inside. I forget what the mileage is. The mileage is low, and again, I think this is a one owner from new. She's just taken it in, got herself a brand new car. I drove it back yesterday. It drives absolutely fine. So again, this is going to be a little bit cosmetic. The wheel trims aren't great, so maybe give them a scuff up and a paint. I don't think it needs any paint other than that front wing. Again, probably something we'll get the Malkster onto, because as you can see, we've got a lot on the go, and to start taking on paint myself currently is a bit much. This is a beaut, absolute beaut. Of all the cars I bought recently, I think this is my favourite. 2010 Volvo V50 1.6 e-drive, so the super economical one. Really good bodywork wise, nothing to do paint wise on it other than give it a cleaner buff. Really nice car. I've been driving it around last couple of days myself. And it drives fantastic. You cannot knock it at all. Alloys are all good. It's got a new MOT on it. I think they left 2 minor advisories on it. I don't know if it's still open or not, this one. Yeah, it's got a nice interior. This sort of like half trim. There's a little bit of wear there, but I like the interior trim on it. They've averaged 54 to the gallon in it as well. I say full service history, all the invoices here, books all stamped, but it has done 149,000 miles. But this one here, guys, is a cracking example of why you shouldn't be scared of higher mileage vehicles. This is obviously really good value for money because of the mileage, but it's got the full service history. It drives absolutely perfectly. I cannot knock it up, and driven it around for a couple of days. It drives perfectly. Everything works exactly as it should do. It's the perfect sort of family motor, load lugger. It's got everything going for it. It's got the full Volvo mats all the way through. They've obviously had some dogs in it, I think, but it doesn't smell. Needs a bit of a clean out. It's an absolute cracker, this. And this is the kind of vehicle, I mean, I drive a 155,000 mile Jaguar, but high mileage cars, well, I mean, it's not really that high for 2010, but higher mileage cars shouldn't scare you if you buy the right ones. And it's all about picking the ones that have been super well looked after. You don't want the ones that have had tons of owners, patchy service history. If you can get a higher mileage car, I would have this over one with 100,000 miles and a patchy service history. Absolutely would. Now, I don't need to hard sell this car to you because I've already sold it. So don't get me wrong, it's not a hard sale on someone coming along and buying this car. But this car will retail for about, I mean, I think it's worth every penny of 2,995 personally. And this is the same argument I say. Auto Trader says it's worth 2.6, but you know, at this age, at 2.6, if you went to go and look at a number of them, there'll be ones with patchy service history, badly scuffed up bodywork, all those kind of things. This one, low ownership, full service history, fantastic bodywork, been really well looked after. It should be getting a premium over the other one, so I think it's worth 2,995 all day long. I think Auto Trader at 2.695 would be the minimum I would be looking to take this vehicle. Like I say, I get the minor advisories done on it. I think you could do with some discs and pads on the front there, a little bit grabby. But no, I think in the current market for sort of 3k, worth every penny. And again, don't write this. I know a lot of people do their searches up to 100,000 miles when they're looking for cars. I highly recommend you go out to like 150,000 miles, but then look into the detail. What's the service history like? What's the condition of the car like? Because these cars are all about how they've been looked after. At the end of the day, if it did the extra 40,000 miles over another one you're looking at, just sat in top gear on a motorway, there's been very little wear to the vehicle at all. But like I said, I've already sold it, so I'm not trying to hard sell it to you, but I'm annoyed I sold it because I should have kept it for myself, but I traded it out to someone. Because I was offered it and assumed based on the mileage, and I'm to blame as well, I assumed on the mileage it's something I wouldn't consider retailing. I agreed a deal on it, got out there, actually got to look at the car, drive the car, look over it, and was like, oh no, this is a perfect retailer. I'd actually have retailed this, but you know me, if I've done a deal, I've done a deal. So it will go to the person I said it would to. I'll give you like one guess as to who that is, by the way. But I will be retailing it, and I would highly recommend if you're near, let's give it away completely now, near Wales, or I don't mind going to Wales, and you're looking for a little estate, this is something you should absolutely consider. So what else have I bought? Well, we need to hop on the computer and have a look at it. But like I say, I'm very surprised based on the amount of grief I normally get, that people haven't been hopping on going, hang fire James, you keep on buying stock, but I've not seen you sell any stock yet. Yeah, anyway, comments on what you think of this stuff. Like I say, if any of you wanted any specific videos on it, or you're a bit disappointed I haven't taken you for test drives in them, I never know what to do, because a lot of people complain about I spend too much time when I have a couple of cars in and do a little test drive on them and a proper thorough look around them. But some of you might be going, hang fire, why haven't you done it with those cars, James? We're interested to see. But yeah, let me know if that's the case. We're going to have a look at what we won at BCA, because as always there's been drama. Get you on a screen share, because if I just video the laptop, it'll be a bit grainy for you to look at. So excuse the noisy rain on the roof, but we put all these bids in prior, didn't we, on all these cars, and I didn't win any of them. We went through this earlier, missed out on them all. I think there's a couple to update you on against the last one. Yeah, nearly got the Vauxhall Astra, but I was out on everything else as always, which always makes me nervous. As I said before, when I win anything, I'm also super nervous of why I won it. What did I miss? Well, I'm right to be nervous, because I did win some. We'll just show you those in a second. So you can see here I made 3 purchases. We've got a Mazda 2. Now, those who watch the channel for a while again will know I love Mazda 2s. Cracking cars, really good. Only 53,000 miles. One of my reasons I was happy to bid on this is it was actually from the Marshall Group budget. So what you're looking for is a dealer name rather than a generic like this one over here. We'll go through that in the middle. When you get things like just the generic named auctions, they could have come from anybody. This looks like it comes from Marshall Group, which I understand, unless I've got it totally wrong, we'll have a quick look, is a big car group. That you're bidding on stuff that they're unlikely to retail themselves. There's a good reason for them to send to auction. That does mean that it could have been turned down by a local dealer as being too bad for them. So there is always that risk, but apparently it's less risky than buying from the generic groups. So yeah, BCA Essential check for that one came back as good, if I remember rightly. Just tyre tread, nothing else. Not that these mean a lot. It looks fantastic, but going into it in detail, all of this here is just telling you the headlights work. All of this here is just telling you it's got some brake pressure. It's not slipping its clutch and it'll go in the first gear. That's a more valuable bit. But most of it doesn't mean an awful lot. But it's encouraging. It's encouraging at best. Grade is a grade 3, which isn't bad for a car that age at BCA. They tend to knock older cars and put them at grade 5 every time. So the car has to be pretty clean overall. What's it been knocked down for, though? this ding on the rear quarter. So there is going to be paintwork to do on it. We're going to see if we can get these dents out first before we start faffing around with paint. Because obviously that colour is not the best one to match. But overall, again, it's never going to be massively profitable. That car probably has a retail of, well, more than you'd think, actually. The Mazdas go for good money. 59 plate, I think, is about 3.6, something like that. We're in it. I've paid for delivery and fees. Look at the fees, 356 again. Ouch. Totally ridiculous. We need someone to come in and disrupt this market. And I mean, obviously, I've gone probably down a band from not having bought for a long while from them. I'm totally in it for 350 by the time it arrives at the door. So I've got like 1,300 margin in it. Take the VAT out, take the warranty out, do that repair. I'm probably back to making 500 quid on that car, realistically. We won a Nissan Note, but I think I overpaid for it. It's grade 4. Again, it comes from the same Marshall group, so we'll find out if that's a good place to buy from or not. BCA Essential check was okay, if I remember rightly. Quick look. Yeah, all greens across the board on that one, so that was encouraging. Condition report-wise, I think it needed a decent amount of bodywork, but again, the only reason I buy these from BCA with the bodywork is I can, if I get the time, do the bodywork myself, and that is relatively low cost. So we've got some flake in the paint, this and the other. I mean, it's an older car. Yeah, it was basically this ding here in the door was the main thing. Got 2 pictures of the same thing. So again, if we can pop that ding out and then just get a squirt of paint over this area here, we should have a decent car on our hands. Nissan Notes, I tend to ask a little bit more than Auto Trader says for them because I think they're cracking cars. 2009, 95,000 miles. Probably in the 2.7 range, 2.695, something like that. Again, not a bad purchasing price, but add the fees in, add the delivery, we're up to £1,500. Do the work. I forget whether it needs MOT or not. I'll be doing well to get 500 quid in off that car. But I wanted some cheapies. I wanted some cheapies to get out the door, so we'll see. Now, this was a total balls up, and this is why I don't use BCA very often, because you have to go through so many cars, and keeping the attention span going to properly check all of them is really hard. And I dropped a bollock on this one. So it was grade 3. I thought, okay, nice grade 3. Citroen VTR, nice model for me. It did say that it was in I'll find it down here. It's in the, what was the group that was doing the auction? It was in the UK CGR total loss. That means cat cars. Now, you know I'm not adverse to a cat car, but I'm normally very picky about which ones I got. This one's got 89,000 miles in it, but I started to look into it. I skimmed across a lot of this stuff. 8 owners, not great for starters. I mean, at the end of one, not the end of the world, but 8 owners, 89,000 miles, grade 3, condition is decent. There wasn't a lot for them to say other than that, and a little scrape on the bumper. So actually, prep-wise, it's got next to no prep needed in it at all. Like I say, I knew it said it was going through, but I missed that it was a Cat C. I hadn't double-checked. I thought Cat C was the old Cat N, but it's actually the old Cat S. And it's twice catted, once in 17 and another 5 years later. Both Cat S. So I don't know how I missed this the first time. So that's one thing in itself. Some of you might have already spotted this as well. I'll scroll up. I went through the photos and I spotted this. I thought, oh, why is the gear lever cover off? That's not encouraging. But they do pop out sometimes, and I got my rose tinted glasses on. But they had told me down here, look, faulty gearbox. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. So it's twice catted, which I wouldn't have a problem with on a 2000 level with 89,000 miles on. If it's in good condition, it drives well. Just knock the price down. I thought 1995, cheap car. You know, 1995, that's a cheap car. But now it looks like I've got to put a gearbox in as well. Gearboxes aren't expensive, they're about 150 quid. I can do it here on my lift because they're not hard to do at all. It's just whether I want to spend a day doing it or not. Whether that day might be better spent doing something else and paying somebody 300 quid to fit the gearbox. I don't know. I don't know. But on the basis of that, what did we go back to? What did we pay for it? So let's have a look here. Yeah, by the time it gets here, it loads me 1166. Let's say I drop another, I can't remember what MOT it's got in it, it's £500 in it, pay the VAT. If I make 300 quid out of it, I'll be doing well. It'll probably end up being a break even. So that's a good example of how not to buy cars on BCA. You do read everything thoroughly because they're not daft. They put it in there. It's not a headline thing to look at. It's just down here under equipment. So you've got to go looking for it, and you've got to be careful with all this because obviously these prices here don't mean anything cat-wise. That's why I'm taking 30% off. It says it should be 2,995. So obviously as a cat car, it should be like 1995. Oh well, it'll make a cheap little run around for someone, won't it? And we'll have a look at it when we get in. We'll get it on the ramp. We'll have a look underneath it, look at the chassis legs. I don't think it'll have chassis leg damage because, to be honest, I think if this got chassis leg damage, it'd be a Cat B, a breaker, not able to be put on the road because they're too little to have. Don't forget, if they get a ding down the sill, that's Cat S. If you get a ding on the sill, that'll be classed as a Cat S. If anything hits the back of these, it'll dent the rear panel across here. That would be a Cat S as well. But we'll see how well the work's been done, because if I can't spot it at all when we get it on the lift, we know it's been done well. If I can spot it, we'll see if headlights are zip tied in and that kind of thing. Panel gaps seem to look good on the images, but we won't really know till it's in. So yeah, that's a good example of how not to buy auctions. In terms of what's happening at the auctions, the prices are still high. They really are. You need, if you're going to be paying £400 out in fees, and you're going to be paying £100 for delivery, so you're 500 quid before you even get started, you need to be working off 2k margins, because you're then going to spend 500 quid on MOT and paint and VAT, leaves you £1,000, £100 for advert, £900. Someone has a chip when they come and look at it, you're down to £700 margin. You've got to buy your warranty as well. So you need to start with a 2k margin. You struggle to start a £1,500 margin on these, even before you start paying fees and delivery. But as I said, it does seem to be the lower end market that is squeezing, not the mid to high. There seems to be a huge amount of competition in this low end stuff. So as you can see, my desire to build a mass stock of small cars in March, ready for a big April, is here. The only thing is, I now need to have an April that's twice as big because I didn't do anything really in March. So we need to do a huge amount of prepping, get all of these ready and get them all up for sale, and hopefully sell as many as we can. Let's use the truck. Sell as many as we can in April, and that means being very hot on being organised in the right way. I'm not going to be able to do a load of the work myself. In a busier month like this, how the hell can I be doing all the paintwork on it? So we're going to have to get things swapped over quickly, get them back quickly, get them, have stuff down, get an MOT while other stuff's getting painted, while I'm valeting other stuff. Remember, all of these cars, they'll need a good number of hours of photographing and videoing, uploading as well. Each one of these cars will have probably nigh on 2 hours of photographing, videoing and uploading. So once you start adding up across all this stock, you can see why I can't be doing everything myself. Anyway, as always, massive thanks for watching. Always interested in your feedback on the cars. Give me some comments down below on what you think of the stock, and see me on the next one. I'm going to be busy. Oh, and how could you possibly miss the arrival of the BCA van? I know a lot of you have been missing that. We love it when the BCA van turns up and we find out what we've ended up buying. So check if you're subscribed down below. I was hearing about people actually being unsubscribed from channels and not knowing it. And one of my best buddies, you all know well, Gas Guy, I was on watching one of his videos the other day because he's actually doing a really cool camper van conversion in one of his vans, and I noted that he said I was unsubscribed below, and there's not a chance in hell I wasn't subscribed before, and I've heard about this on a lot of channels. So just double check down below as to whether you are subscribed or not. You might think you are, but you might find you're not, because something's been happening, I think, with YouTube recently. Anyway, massive thanks. See you again soon.